was thinking a little bit about futility and failure. The overall setup meant that I couldn't really see what I was doing, and so in addition to removing control in that regard, it also made mistakes more likely, and it made it more likely that the actions I was doing would end up being ineffective or somehow go awry. I also chose very repetitive actions and planned to cycle through each of them over time so that the piece built up gradually. People participated and interacted with the piece a lot more than I expected. Towards the beginning, someone peeled an orange and squeezed it onto a dish that I was holding. In general, people kind of moved objects, cracked eggs onto different parts of the counter, moved jam around, etc. It was unexpected, but I think it was definitely positive and added something to the piece in general. I hadn't really thought that much about how to interact with the audience just because I didn't expect that to be a part of it. But I decided to be very open to it and try to flow with whatever people did, whatever they did to me or to the materials. I decided these hands that I was playing are submissive and not argumentative, but also maybe they don't fully understand the people touching them or giving them things. At a certain point, I just kind of let my hands go completely limp while these two people rubbed the dough slash flour slash dirt mixture onto them and caressed them.
Me personally, I was freestyle the entire performance. I mean, sort of. I plan out the things I'm doing, but a lot of it I have to improvise, feeling the vibes in the crowd and listening to Clara's sound while she tries to mimic my sound or just respond to mine. It was a lot of listening, playing, having fun, and with some boredom after an hour because it felt longer than I expected. But I'm very proud to say that I let loose of the control and just let it go. Let it go, let it go. Overall, I think the event was very successful. Thank you.
We talked about performance. Somebody mentioned the idea of being hidden, the idea of false floors, and we all seem to be behind that. I think it's interesting that all of us seem to be into the idea of being mostly hidden. So we just sort of ran with that. It felt like it came together pretty organically. I made a few rules for myself. I was not to say any words. I was to, when there was silence and nothing was going on, I was to be reactive to sounds that were happening, including Z playing her cups and popping her bubbles and trying to mimic those sounds, trying to mimic Becky's chopping. What ended up happening, though, those sounds were hard to stick with, and I ended up mimicking a lot of sounds that were happening in the audience. And so I also told myself before going into the performance that I was allowed to spit things out that I didn't like. But at one point, somebody put an egg in my mouth, and I ended up launching it. That wasn't captured. All we have is the evidence of the egg on the floor. People put candy in my mouth. Some girls from the lollipops. People began to touch my lips. So I got a lot of interaction. And being reduced, when I began the performance, there's this nervousness of like, what do I do now that I'm actually here? And it was sort of a concentration of myself into the one body part that was really present in the space. Eventually it became obvious, or relatively I felt more comfortable simply reacting. I felt my self-consciousness disappear. We have the aftermath. Awesome. Eggs were spit. So Jello.
Yeah, where's Z? Z?